On behalf of the Remote Online Initiative and the K-State Research and Extension Community Vitality Team, we're really glad to have you all with us. I'm Ron Wilson, Director of the Huck Boyd Institute for Rural Development at K-State, and big thanks to Deborah Cole, our coworker partner who's on, who is the Program Leader Coordinator for K-State Research and Extension. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Remote Work Wednesday is a project of the Remote Online Initiative, we encourage you to go to kansasremotework.com. That's the website, the link that will take you to information with previous Remote Work Wednesday recordings, as well as information about how to participate in the Remote Online Initiative classes. The Remote Online Initiative, as you'll see, offers 1 month online classes that will enable participants to become certified and trained as a remote worker or a remote work team leader. The Zoom call each month, as we're having today, is for anyone interested in remote work. Our goal is simply to learn about the opportunities and challenges of remote and hybrid work for those who choose it and for those for whom it works. It is a free call on the second Wednesday of each month. And I might note that our next month's Remote Work Wednesday speaker will be Jan Steen, a Community Vitality Specialist with K-State Research and Extension. He's going to talk about project management and goal setting across multiple remote teams. There's the link in the chat, and as you would appreciate in these times, it's really important to track our progress, inform our supervisors and clients as we're dealing with multiple projects. Right now, we're digging out of a major snowstorm in central and north central Kansas, northeast Kansas, and that's certainly the case where we are. I swear we got 1.5 feet of snow out here, but I was able to work remotely with no problem. I do know that the snow has been a challenge for many employers and businesses, and that includes the business that Lynda Jamison represents. So we really appreciate your extra effort, Lynda, in being with us today. Lynda Jamison is a talent advisor for AdamsBrown in Great Bend and multiple communities across Kansas. Some time ago, Lynda and I were on a panel discussing remote work, and I was so impressed with her observations. And so, Lynda, if you would, please share about your company and your experience and any comments about remote work, please.
Okay, well, thank you, Ron. A little bit about me. My name is, as Ron said, Lynda Jamison. I am with AdamsBrown. I've been with AdamsBrown for a little over 11 years now, and I am the talent advisor. And what that means is I work with our employees from the time they sign their offer through that first year or two of their employment to help with the onboarding, the orientation, training. I don't really do the training, but I make sure that they get their training. And then I check in with them several times. I have several presentations throughout that first year or so to give them resources about AdamsBrown, about our services, about resources that they might need in order to do their work better, get a lot of feedback from them, and just make sure that they're engaged. And this is for our all new employees, whether they're an intern, a student worker, a full-time employee, part-time, remote, whatever. I work with all of them. I came from a background, I was in banking, and our HR department was not, well, it was in a different community. And so I handled all the HR type processes for just our local areas. And so then when I came to AdamsBrown, I took a step back and I was working in client services, which was totally different. Did that for about 6 years, but realized I'm more of a people person than I am a numbers person. And so switched over to HR about 6 years ago and started out as a HR generalist. And then about 3 years ago, switched to the talent advisor position. We didn't have a talent advisor position before that. We were a smaller company, but we're growing. We now have 350 plus employees. So as the firm grew, so did our department. I used to work with the new hires as they, I did all the interviewing, posting the job positions, all of that, made the offers. And then after 90 days, they just kind of dropped off my radar and everyone else's. And so we decided that we needed to add this position to help with that engagement for that first year, 2 years, 3 years, and on. And then I also work on the tail end on the exits too. So I really work with the full employee experience. So that's a little bit about what I do. I started in HR with AdamsBrown in 2019, and 1 year later, everyone knows what happens. COVID hit, and wow, our world had just turned upside down really quick. Within about 3 days, about 300 people started working from home. We had to take all of our equipment, disassemble it, take it home. I'm not a techie person, but I figured out how to do that, put tags on everything and got it set up at home, and worked from home for a couple of months. And then when we were cleared to come back to the office, disassemble everything, bring it back to the office, and work for about 2 weeks when I was in a meeting and with some other people, I got quarantined. So went back home. This happened about 2 or 3 times, and it happened to a lot of people across our firm. And we realized that we're gonna have to do something about this. We didn't know how long COVID was going to stick around, and how long some of us were going to be working remotely. Our firm offers one full setup of equipment to every employee. And that's whether they're working in the office or if they're working remotely. And then if they decide they want another setup or more equipment so that they can work more of a hybrid situation without having to transport that equipment back and forth, we came up with a process, and it's our employee equipment purchase program. And how that works is if you want to purchase any equipment that you know is going to be compatible, your monitors, your keyboard, all of that, the docking station, you can purchase it from the firm. And so we order equipment once a month. And if people want to purchase it, they pay what we pay for it. We don't make a penny off of it. So then they can have equipment that they know is going to be compatible, and they can work from home if they want, if there's a snowstorm, or if they, work a regular schedule, hybrid schedule, they can do that. And then we offer a payment plan. If they want to pay for it all up front, that's perfectly fine, but we'll also do payroll deductions up to 6 months of payroll. And so that's what I did. And it was like $50 a pay period for 6 months. Never even missed it. One of the best investments I've ever made, I think. So, so that's one thing that we have offered for our employees. Out of our 350 plus employees, I would say about 85% are on some type of a flex program, flex arrangement. Before COVID, I would say maybe 25%. So it's really changed since then. And those flex arrangements, they arrange everything from 100% remote outside of Kansas, 100% remote within Kansas, to a hybrid type work situation. And then there's also other flex arrangements, like maybe a condensed work week, maybe working 4 10-hour days, or working an early schedule or a late schedule, or even a shared office. We have some employees that they share an office. One will come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the other will come in Tuesday, Thursday. So there's all different kinds of arrangements, and it's really hard to keep up with all of these different arrangements. So we came up with a flex work arrangement form. We've done 2 of them. We had one that just had them fill out what the arrangement is. I'm going to work from home 2 days a week, and that was it. Well, then about 2 years ago, we found that we really needed it to be more defined. It got to where just everyone was just coming and going as they pleased. No one really knew for sure what the arrangement was. Maybe an employee would have one supervisor and got moved to a different supervisor, and that supervisor wasn't sure what the arrangement was. And so we revamped the form, and we came up with several questions that we have the employee answer. And I'm going to pull it up here in front of me so I don't forget any of them. But questions such as, excuse me while I pull it up here. Okay, first off, what is your proposed schedule? And then we have them explain why they want to participate in this flex arrangement. Also, we have them list the major components of their job and how and if they are able to adapt that to a flexible arrangement. How the proposed flex work arrangement will affect their coworkers, their clients, their team members, the firm. How will you ensure work product quality, responsiveness, and regular communications are managed with your clients, your coworkers, and your manager? How will this arrangement impact your training and development? Consider and speak to things such as what training you'll attend and how you will participate in your personal development plan and advancement time. And then one last one, if you currently supervise others, how will this arrangement affect their training and development, and describe the steps that you'll take to mitigate any obstacles? So this really made them stop and think, is this a good arrangement for me? Because we've realized that working remote is not a good idea for everyone. Of course, some work positions don't allow you to work remotely, but on the personal side, not everyone can sit at home by themselves, not have any social interaction. They don't have the management skills. It's hard for them to prioritize work. There's several things that get in the way. And so we really want them to think about this, not only them, but their manager. So after they answer all of these questions, then it automatically flows to the manager, and we have a couple questions for them to answer. So the first one, what are the employees' work style and job performance characteristics that you believe support their participation in this proposed work arrangement? And then also, how will you and other leaders who work with the employee collaborate towards the success of the proposed work arrangements? So makes the manager really stop and think too, is this arrangement really good for not only the employee, but our clients and other team members? And then after that, it auto flows to HR, so we can determine if this arrangement is going to affect benefits, PTO, anything like that. And then one last step to that is our IT department. When COVID happened and everybody took equipment home, not everybody maybe had a full setup or something. And so they were taking better monitors maybe from other offices. And I mean, equipment just went everywhere. And so now we have a telecommuter form, and that form, we have them list out all firm-owned equipment that they are using outside of the office. Not equipment that they purchased on their own, but firm-owned equipment. And then along with model numbers or serial numbers so that we can keep track of that. But along with that form are the telecommuter guidelines that list things like, like you need to have daycare. If you have a child in your home, either daycare or somebody else on the premises to watch that child. Any distractions that you may have, to take care of those so that it doesn't impair any client interaction. Also things like you have to have a certain amount of internet to ensure that you can work properly. But there's a whole list of guidelines that they need to read through, acknowledge before they sign off on this form. So those are a couple of things that we have done that has really helped us with our remote employees and to make sure that they are successful in that. One thing that we stress is that working remote, it's a privilege. It's not a right. And so we are able to revoke that at any time. Another thing that we've done, I'm sure you've all heard of the PIP form, the Performance Improvement Plan. We changed that to say it is a PSP, and it's a Pathway to Success plan, so that we can successfully move them along their path. And it kind of takes that negative piece out of that. You know, you hear PIP and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting fired. And everybody has that reaction. So we've really stressed that this is a plan to help them successfully move forward in their career. And sometimes through this PSP plan, we have had people who are working a flex arrangement, working remotely, move back to the office and see if that has improved. And many times it has improved any issues that they've had. working with one right now that this person is greatly improving. Their efficiency is better, their attitude is better, their quality of work is better. So again, working remotely isn't for everyone. But then on the flip side, we've got some employees that they knock it out of the park working remotely. So you just really have to determine what is right for the employee, for the team, and also for the clients. So, okay, that was a lot of talking. Does anybody have any questions about what I've gone over, or anything else having to do with remote work?
Lynda, I think that was outstanding. I mean, those are that's really a collection of best practices, I would say, for remote work. One thing I was curious about, you cited the examples of where it actually helped a PSP participant to go back to the office. What did you observe about overall productivity of remote workers versus non-remote? Did the productivity, however you measure that, stay stable, or
Yeah,
what metrics would you
it
find?
really just depended, on the person. But there's a lot of things that we take into account. The metrics, we have the same metrics for our remote employees as we do for our in-office employees, whether it's billings or I'm trying to think of some of the other metrics that we use. Billings is the major one. It's expected to be the same. So if there is, if we see it maybe slacking off a bit or something like that, that's when the communication comes in. All of our people managers have one-on-ones, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly at a minimum, with all employees, whether they're in-house or remote. And through that communication during those one-on-ones, that's when they can really talk about, how is your realization? How are your billings? And we've got reports. We've got a great Power BI dashboard where they can measure all of these things and see them go up and go down. If they are having struggles, talking with them, not only just on, billings and work related, but, how are you doing? You've been stuck inside in the snow for a week now, and, kids have been home, probably driving you crazy. How are you doing? So really putting a personal touch onto that also. But again, we don't say, okay, since you're working remotely, we're going to lower your billings or anything like that. They are still expected to perform at that same level. And if they're not, through those one-on-ones, hopefully they can talk through on, what can we do to make this better? Is there an issue with training? Is there an issue of, you're not able to get to the work that you need because you are remote? What is the issue? So I would say communication is probably the biggest thing when it comes to deciding, is this working or is it not?
I was curious too about the company. I know you have multiple locations across Kansas, um, and out of state as well. Did I hear you say?
Yeah, we have 13 locations. 2 of them are in Arkansas, and the other 11 are here in Kansas. So everywhere from Northwest Kansas, Atwood and Colby, all the way down to Wichita and back up to Overland Park, and one right there in Manhattan as of last year. We're very excited to start that area, because we do have a lot of interns coming from K-State, and this allows our interns to work during the spring semester instead of just during the summer. So we're very grateful for that. But we did add on 2 locations in Arkansas. One right in the middle of COVID, our Jonesboro office. And then we started a footprint. And I guess this is kind of a neat point too. Normally when we open a new office, it's because we've done an acquisition or something like that, and which is what we did in Jonesboro. But then we wanted to get a footprint in Little Rock. And so we started hiring remote employees out of their homes to work with our clients in the Little Rock area. And once we started to get a good footprint there in Little Rock, we went ahead and opened up an office leased a space there in Little Rock. And so all of those remote employees, well, some of them moved into that Little Rock office then. And now we're starting to grow that area. So that's the first time we've done that, was just open an area remotely and then moved into an actual office space. And then we also have employees that work in, I believe it's 12 states outside of Kansas and Arkansas. And that kind of depends on payroll laws and some of those other crazy laws out there, whether we will employ out of some of those states. There are some states that we have on a list that we, at this time, do not employ. So we have had employees who have moved out of state, whether it's because a spouse got a position or whatever the reason was. And if it's a state that we will employ in, it's not a big issue. But we have had some that have moved to states that we were not able to employ them. So unfortunately, we weren't able to keep them employed. So that's another talking point that we've had to come up with is, when employees move, can they stay on? And so we've had to work through that with our managers. We need to have a lot of heads up, because sometimes it's in a state that we don't currently employ in, but it does take quite some time to get the payroll and everything set up. So we do ask for a little bit of heads up so that we can get everything ready in time.
I heard that as well, that the payroll issues when you cross the state lines get complicated, and it does put a little bit more of a burden on at least it's more complicated for the company to follow all those processes.
We just went through a process with an attorney on our RCAs, our restrictive covenant agreements. We used to have one. And we found out that you can't do that because laws are different in every state. And so we went through with every state that we have people employed in, and we updated those. And so now we have, I believe, 13 different RCAs and a couple different confidentiality agreements, depending on where the employee resides at. That was a big undertaking.
Yeah, I can see. And we sure encourage anyone to either unmute, ask a question, or post a question in the chat. So AdamsBrown does CPA work. So, I'm assuming that tax work and prep and ongoing accounting are, I don't know, kind of back office functions that can be done any place. So it would seem to me that your company would be a natural for this kind of thing, for you and your team on the HR side. Do you then have a weekly interaction as well, or how does that operate for you?
Our team actually, let's see, we have 3 of us are in Great Bend, 2 work remotely from home. I'm the only one that comes in the office. One comes in maybe once or twice a month. We have one in Alabama. She does all of our payroll. And then we have a couple in Wichita. We have our recruiters and a benefits person in Wichita. And then our chief people officer is in McPherson. So really, we are a remote team. We have one-on-ones with our boss every week, sometimes more. And then as a team, we get together. It was every week, but we found out that we were kind of meeting just to be meeting. And so we pushed it off to every 2 weeks, because with all the other interaction we have, I mean, we meet on Teams all day long. I see my team members all day long. So we realized that it's not that efficient to have a meeting just to have a meeting. And that's one thing I would like to say with working remotely. Sometimes you think, okay, the more we meet, the more engagement we have. We always say, if there's not an agenda, there shouldn't be a meeting. So when you are spending a lot of times online all day long, make sure that it's all worthwhile. It's okay to have a little bit of fluff in there, but you do get that video fatigue after a while, and you do need a break from that. So we try to make our meetings as efficient as possible. But yeah, as a HR team, we do meet one-on-one with our immediate supervisor once a week and or more, and then as a team bi-weekly. And that works out really well for us. And we see that really across the firm. We started about 2 years ago. We added a goal to every single person's IDP, their individual development plan, was to meet and participate in a one-on-one with your supervisor, weekly, bi-weekly at a minimum. And that was hard for a lot of people, especially I think our people managers. And we even had a template, bullet points of things to cover and what to talk about. And then after about a year or so, it got routine. And now it's no longer on a goal, but it is expected of everyone. And the expectation is on both sides. It's not just up to the people manager to schedule and meet and come up with the agenda. Now, me and my boss, I come up with the agenda, and we do this through OneNote. So we have a shared OneNote that we use, and I have a shared OneNote with my boss. And one of the pages on it is check-ins, and we keep it dated. And we have two main areas, discussion with bullet points under it, and FYI with bullet points. Again, trying to make it very efficient, because there's a lot of things that you could just put down in your FYI to look through and read through and move on, instead of having to discuss every single thing. And again, lessen that video fatigue time. And then in having it in OneNote, you can always put your little checkbox on there and make sure everything's done, and you can look back, and it makes it really efficient. We've also worked with our people managers to use OneNote and that check-in area as documentation. So if they do see that there are issues, maybe some productivity or some quality of work, they can document it there. For any of you in HR, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And so we can never get enough of that documentation. So using things like OneNote has really helped us with our remote work. And then of course, Teams, I said that several times today. We use that all day long. We also use Zoom, but we try to use Teams more often.
Deborah's a Teams fan. She lit right up when you said that.
I sure did. That's true. I am. Sometimes I feel like I'm a woman on an island with that, but I do. Not that it isn't frustrating sometimes, but I do prefer it. So I had a question, actually, Lynda. Do you do any remote team building or fun social things with your remote teams?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually working on a project right now, and I talked to Ron a little bit about this. I'm developing it, and the first step was to make a Teams channel for our remote employees. And we want them to have a place where they can network back and forth, send pictures, do celebrations, wish each other happy birthday, happy work anniversary, whatever it may be, a picture of their dog, whatever they want, but for them to interact, and then also ask questions. I'm snowed in this week. I'm going crazy. What are you guys doing to not go crazy? But the first step, other than making that channel, was trying to decide, okay, who should be a part of this team? And is it required? And we decided right off the bat, no, it's not required. This is just something for not only fun, but we don't want it to be a stressor. Working remotely can be stressful enough. So I pulled a report of everyone who was working remote. So we were trying to decide, okay, is it just 100% remote, or how about the people that come in once or twice a week? Should they be included? What about, I lost my thought there, but who all should be included? We have some people that they may live 2 blocks from the office, but they work 100% remote. So should they be involved? So that's kind of where I'm at a stopping point right now, is trying to decide who all should be involved, and should it even be up to me? Should I just put it out there to everyone and say, hey, this is what we've got going. Let us know. Would you be interested in it? And then I want them to own it. And I'll be a part of it, but have them maybe have someone facilitate each month. And how often do you want to meet? And what time do you want to meet? Do you want to meet over lunch? Kind of like, what you guys are doing here already, except within AdamsBrown, and maybe bring some speakers in. I also want to give them this link so that they can be included in this, but just offer resources for them as a remote employee. So that's a project that I am working on right now. We also have what's called a fish committee. And I don't know if any of you have heard of the fish philosophy from out in, I don't know, is it Seattle, or I think it's in Seattle. There's a fish market.
Right.
And the people, the employees there have so much fun. They're throwing fish back and forth to each other and out into the customers, and they're throwing it back. But it's all about having fun in the work environment while still being productive. And then the second piece of that is giving back to our communities. So we have a committee made up of people from each of our offices, and they're on the fish committee, and they meet, I believe, once a month, and they go over all different kinds of activities. A lot of them include a lot of food. Right now, we're gearing up for tax season, and so we have a pre-tax season celebration, and so they'll be involved in that. They do birthday lunches or get-togethers once a month or so, holidays. They put together a half day of fun where all of the offices, each office they close their door for half a day, and we go out and we do something fun together. And then we also have a half day of service where we go out and do a community service project together. And so it's kind of hard for our remote employees that are like out of state or, not within driving distance of the location to participate in some of these things. So some of the things that we have done, we can send out, like, if we're doing a lunch, maybe send a gift card where they can go to Starbucks or somewhere and have a coffee, or if we're doing Sonic cherry limeades the day, send them a gift card so that they can do that too. And then when we do get together, we always do a Teams call. So, we've got a big monitor right there in our training rooms or wherever we meet, and they can participate and see everybody and talk to back and forth to each other. And so we really try to include them as much as possible. One thing we do during tax season, we have a tax season bingo, which it's a lot of fun. Everybody gets a bingo card, and we have bingo daubers that we send out to everyone. Everyone in their we have a new hire gift box that we send out to all of our new hires, and there's always a dauber included, and we tell them, hold on to that, you're going to need that. But every day in Teams, we have a tax season Teams bingo channel. And so a number is called out every day. There's trivia, there's prizes, there's all kinds of fun. It goes all the way through tax season. And so everyone, whether they're in the office or working remotely, they are included in on that. So another way to just have some fun and be included with the team. So trying to think of other things that we do.
Outstanding creative ideas. Wow. Whole collection of best practices here. I do want to raise one thing. I saw a disturbing article just the other day. A federal legislator did a study of what was happening with telework among federal government employees, and it was not good. The picture was not good. And she uncovered what she described as abuses. I mean, they're supposed to be at work on payroll, and they were playing golf during company time or whatever. And so what that says to me is we need more of this training. We need more of the best practices. We need more of the kinds of processes that you are doing at AdamsBrown with our federal employees, perhaps. But do you have any sense of a trend? Our clients or people pushing people back into the office as opposed to remote? Do you have any sense for that at all?
Yeah, as far as here, we're not really pushing anyone unless, there is productivity issues, or there is an issue with the clients. We thought pre-COVID, there's just no way we can any of us can do our job remotely, or most of us can do our job remotely. And we found out that we really can.
Yeah.
And that was kind of eye-opening to us. But then we were surprised. We thought everybody would love working remote. And that's when we found out that there's a lot of people really didn't like it. And they had really a hard time working from home. Some people think they do a great job working from home, and maybe they don't. And so, it's really about the communication between our people managers and our employees. Those one-on-ones are so important. And I think that's kind of where some people fell through the cracks before we were doing those one-on-ones. We just thought if you're at home, you're doing your work. And then as maybe people got moved around to other supervisors, and they're like, you know what? Work isn't getting done. And so those one-on-ones are just so important to communicate and go over every week. What are your billings? How is your realization? Did it go down? Is it doing great? What is on your plate that we need to get off so that you can be more productive? So those are just really important things. And then there's trust. If that people manager does not trust that employee to be doing what they need to be doing, it's not a good situation. And why is that? Why is that trust not there? What caused there to not be that trust? And do we need to bring that person back into the office and build that trust back up, and see how it goes? And then maybe sometime in the future, they can go back to working remotely. We do have, our time and billings, where we enter our time. Even our salaried people, they still have to enter time and their billings. And we do ask that they put in the area, what they did that day. Of course, it has to, anything that's billable, that's obvious because it's being billed to the client. But during their non-billable time, not to just put in 4 hours of non-billable time, explain what was done during that non-billable time. Was it training? Was it taking care of email or whatever it was? And looking at that non-billable time every week and what was done during that time. We had just talked with a people manager that she has requested the employee to check in daily with her and explain, what is on your desk today, what's on your plate, and let's prioritize it. And is really working hard with this person to determine whether this remote arrangement is good for them. Right now, it's not, but she's working hard to hopefully make it better. And if not, that is something that is an expectation that will happen if things don't improve. So communication and trust. If there's no communication, if there's no trust, it's not a good situation. When they're putting in 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day of non-billable time when they're a billable employee, it's not a good thing. I've heard those stories too, where people have two full-time jobs, 2 remote full-time jobs, and getting paid from both of them and really not doing anything. So yeah, you really have to be on top of things, even more so with a remote employee. But if that remote employee is knocking it out of the park and their billings are good, their realization is good, they're producing, the trust is there. My boss tells us all the time, I don't care when your butt is in the seat, as long as the work gets done. If you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing something and then take a couple hours off in the afternoon to get kids home from school or whatever, and then you hop back on later, I don't care. Your work's getting done. You're not going to hear anything from me.
I couldn't agree more. And you see people who, maybe it's a morning person, or maybe their productive time is right after lunch or whatever it might be. And so I think sometimes, we need to take those kind of things into account. There is a question in the chat. I'm not too clear on this. You're an employment company, correct? My second question is, do you have clients that are not employees that you act as advisories for accounting needs?
Actually, we do. We have a couple of senior consultants. Normally, they are like our partners or principals who have retired, but then they come back in a consulting piece. And so we have a couple of those. We also, in some of our areas, we have a focus area model that we have moved to in this past year. And so some of our focus areas are ag, construction, healthcare, manufacturing. And so we have hired some people in a consultant piece in those focus areas that can go out and talk to our clients, especially like in ag, that can talk to some of our ag clients. And so yeah, we do have some consulting pieces. We do, of course, tax preparation. We also do audit, both the FASB and the GASB side. We do client accounting services. We act as that back office for our clients. We also have a company affiliated with AdamsBrown. It's AdamsBrown Technology Specialists, and they work with cybersecurity. And so they work with a lot of our clients. And then we have a wealth management division also. And then also a payroll. We have a large clientele of payroll that we work with. They're able to, our clients are able to talk to our employees versus, you know, some of those, I guess I'll call them the big box payroll companies, where you're not sure who you're talking to or what kind of communication there is. But so we have a wide range of services. And so one of the things that I do as talent advisor is make sure that our employees are aware of everything that we do. That way, when they do talk to clients, they, you know, maybe we can do more for them than just their taxes. We can offer financial services, or cybersecurity services, those types of things. But we want everyone to be aware of all of the services that we have. So one thing that I do a monthly Q&A discussion, and it's a panel. So I have someone from focus area, like for instance, in January, we have audit. And so we have 4 people from audit on both the FASB and the GASB side. And we invite all of our new employees from the past year who have started within the last year, and also our interns. And then anyone else who wants to learn a little bit more, of course, we'll send them an invite also. But it's a virtual panel discussion. And so each of our panelists will talk about their position, what they provide for their clients, and then they ask, our employees are able to ask questions. And so we do this every month. We'll highlight ag one month, and manufacturing and construction. And so each month is a little bit different. So our new employees, they get to know a lot more about the firm. So we have these Q&As for them every month. And then I have some presentations that I do with our new employees after 2 weeks, when they've kind of got their feet underneath them. Everything's not so crazy. I meet with them. I have a full 1-hour presentation, and I go over probably everything that's already been gone over with them. But now they can ask questions about it. They kind of understand it more. They know what questions to ask. And then I show them their resources. Where can you find, you know, the dress code, the employee handbook? How do you decipher your pay stub? All kinds of things. And I explain to them all the different programs that we have for them, such as the flex arrangement, work arrangement, and you know, employee referral bonuses and those types of things. Talk to them about their PTO. Then at 2 months, I meet with them again, and at this time, I call it our Tell Our Story Day, and it's all about AdamsBrown. I talk to them about our past, because we're 80 years old this month or this year. I talk about our past, and then I talk about our current, our culture, and opportunities for them. And then we talk about the vision for the future. And then at 6 months, I have another full-hour presentation, and it's all about meeting our leadership, our CEO, our C-suite, our focus area leaders, our principals. They don't get to meet them personally, but I have pictures of all of them. I have backstories, and I talk about the career paths that our leadership has taken to kind of give them an idea. I mean, our CEO has been here, I think 14 years, and he's much younger than I am. And he's had an amazing pathway. We have some of our top leaders started out as interns. And so it's great for our new employees to learn about that. So that happens at 6 months. We have a 90-day survey that goes out to both the employee and the supervisor to just kind of gauge on how things are going. After each one of those presentations, I have a feedback survey that goes out, and that way I've really actually built my talent advisor position off of feedback that I have gotten, because who knows better what a new employee needs than the new employee. So a lot of these things that I'm talking about today came from suggestions from our new employees. And then at 1 year, there's another survey, and just asking about their first year experience, everything from their onboarding, was the recruitment process, was it everything that was promised to them? Has their manager talked to them about their career path? Would they like to hear more about it? And then they have an opportunity to set up time to talk with me about maybe another position within the firm, some other duties, during their downtime. I've put together a pool of projects, whether they're reoccurring or just one-time projects from departments across the firm. And then I also have a pool of people that have capacity throughout the year, or maybe through can take on some of these reoccurring projects and kind of piece those together to give them, kind of a insight to other areas within the firm, and just helps everyone out by having it's surprising some of the talents that our people have, that they can help out in areas outside of just their particular area. So those are some more of the things that I do as a talent advisor, but all of them involve not only our in-office employees, but also our remote employees.
Outstanding. Again, I just think it's a collection of best practices that are really helpful.
I see that somebody's wanting my contact information. Absolutely. Yeah. If you would like a copy of our telecommuter form, our guidelines, the flex work arrangement, my contact information, I can get that to Deborah, and she can get that out to everyone.
That would be super. I was just going to ask. So we really appreciate that. And gosh, I appreciate all your insights. My goodness, how interesting. I'm loving these terms, the chief people officer and the partner to success plan. And it's really inspiring.
I have to give credit that to actually my boss, Jess Camp, who is our chief police. sometimes chief people officer. She's all about the employee. She's all about the human aspect, and she always steps back and it's like, okay, what's best not only for the firm but for the employee. And so a lot of these initiatives, most of these initiatives have come from her. And when we get suggestions, I always talk with her, and of course I meet with her one-on-one once a week, and we go over things, and she's got a great perspective. She's definitely a people person.
Well, that's great to hear. Looks like Deborah did put in the chat a link if you just want to learn about the company. We will promise to follow up, and I'm excited to see those forums, the flex work forum and so forth, and see what we might learn and glean from that.
Yeah, please do take a look at our website. We have an amazing marketing team, and they're all remote too. We have one in Great Bend, one in Minnesota, one in Missouri, and I believe the other one is in Overland Park. So they all work remotely every day together, but they put together this website, and they work really hard to show our culture on that website, but also across the board on other social media platforms, LinkedIn and X and Facebook and Instagram. And they work really hard to show everyone. And they have a lot of feature stories of ways that our employees enjoy work-life balance, or how they practice that. And so that's kind of fun to read through those stories also.
Excellent. Well, we'll take a look at that. Nice comments in the chat, Lynda. I'm going to bring you a, a, a virtual round of applause here, if I can do that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for a really terrific presentation. We appreciate all your insights and the great things you're doing in your
Well, I
field.
look forward to continuing this. I plan on hopping on every month, and as I get our remote employee program up and going, hopefully you'll see more of our AdamsBrown team.
Well, we sure hope so. And if we can be of help in any way, just let us know. I think what you're doing is really commendable, and so we encourage you to keep it up.
Thank you.
So thanks for today. And speaking of next month, Deborah's put in the chat a link where you can learn more and sign up. Our next Remote Work Wednesday will be on February 12th. Again, Jan Steen from our team will be talking about project management and goal setting across multiple remote teams. He's very active with his National Professional Association. He's worked in the private sector remotely before working on as a remote employee with the K-State Research and Extension team. So I think we'll have a lot of insights. So we look forward to you joining us on Wednesday, February 12th. With that, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Lynda, for your presentation, and everyone have a wonderful Remote Work Wednesday. Good afternoon.
Yeah.